Galaxy S8 Plus vs iPhone X. Welcome to Tech Discovery Guy. In 2017, Samsung introduced two flagship smartphones. The Galaxy S8 Plus and the iPhone X, both of these devices were released in 2017. This pair of mobile devices exemplified the very best that Samsung and Apple had to offer at the time of their respective product launches. It was in the year 2017 that both of these mobile gadgets were made available to the public. Because of these devices, the smartphone market has witnessed major developments in design, display technology, and performance. As a direct result of these advancements, new benchmarks have been established within the industry. Even though both of these kinds of mobile devices are several generations old, the influence that they have had and the innovations that they have brought about continue to have an impact on the design and operation of modern smartphones. This is because of the fact that they have brought about significant advancements in the field. The Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus was a continuation of the company's popular S series, with the primary focus being on improving the user experience and refining the design. The S series has been selling well for the company. It was in the year 2018 that Samsung introduced the Galaxy S8 Plus. It was equipped with a Super AMOLED display that measured 6.2 inches in size and offered a resolution of 2960 pixels by 1440 pixels. The particular kind of display in question was able to exhibit high-quality pictures that had vivid colors and deep blacks. Prior to its discontinuation, Samsung's flagship smartphones were distinguished by their infinity display design, which featured curved edges and decreased bezels. This design was a differentiating feature when it was first introduced. A viewing experience that was not only compelling but also gave an immersive experience was made possible by the design. This design made it possible to have a huge screen while yet maintaining a relatively small form factor. This was made possible by the presence of this design. In addition, the design made it simple to transport despite the fact that it was far larger than ordinary. The S8 Plus was not only powered by a processor that was either an Exynos 8895 or a Snapdragon 835 depending on the market, but it also came with 4 GB of random access memory, or RAM, as standard equipment. Because of this combination, your performance will be unaffected without interruption, regardless of whether you are streaming video, playing games, or executing numerous chores at the same time. In addition, the mobile device included a rear camera that was equipped with dual-pixel technology and had a resolution of 12 megapixels. Several accolades have been bestowed upon these cameras due to their remarkable performance in low-light conditions as well as their swift focusing capabilities. Selfies that were sharp and clear were produced by the front-facing camera, which featured an 8-megapixel sensor with autofocus, which was a feature that was uncommon at the time. The camera was able to create these selfies. Apple's prior designs were considerably different from the iPhone X, which was a significant departure from previous designs. The iPhone X was a significant departure from previous designs. The Super Retina display was the name that Apple gave to the OLED display that was utilized in this particular iPhone model. The first iPhone to use an OLED display was this particular model. The width of the display was 2436 pixels and the height was 1125 pixels. This was the resolution. The display, which measured 5.8 inches in size, featured a high pixel density, which made it possible to obtain images that were crystal clear and packed with clarity. In spite of the fact that the display was smaller than the S8 Plus, which had a larger screen, this was the actual result. A design element known as the notch, which was introduced with the iPhone X, was responsible for housing the front-facing camera as well as the Face ID sensors. These sensors took the place of the Touch ID fingerprint sensor. In addition to the notch that was introduced with the iPhone X, this was yet another feature. Specifically, it was a hexa-core central processing unit (CPU) that provided outstanding performance, particularly in applications that required augmented reality and occupations that required graphics. The iPhone X was powered by the A11 Bionic chip, which was the one that was used. On the back of the iPhone X had a dual camera system that included a wide-angle lens with 12 megapixels and a telephoto lens with 12 megapixels. Both of these lenses were capable of capturing quality images. A resolution of 12 megapixels was included in both of these lenses when they were first introduced. As a result of the implementation of this technology, the optical zoom was extended by a factor of 2, portrait mode was also introduced, and lighting effects were improved. Despite the fact that the front-facing camera had a resolution of 7 megapixels, the advent of TrueDepth technology made it possible to execute face recognition and Animoji features that were more advanced than those that were before available. Both of the phones were high-end technology gadgets that were contained in metal frames and had glass panels on both the front and the back of the device. In terms of the quality of their construction, both of the phones were of a high-end nature. In contrast to the iPhone X, which featured a design that was more angular and symmetrical, the Galaxy S8 Plus had a design that was more curved and had edges that were smoother. This was in contrast to the iPhone X, which featured a design that was more angular and symmetrical. It was determined that both the iPhone X and the S8 Plus were resistant to dust and water. The S8 Plus was certified as having an IP68 rating, while the iPhone X was classified as having an IP67 rating. These two gadgets were able to tolerate both dust and water without any problems. The battery life of both devices was satisfactory, with the S8 Plus having a battery capacity of 3,500 mAh and the iPhone X having a battery capacity of 2,716 mAh. Both devices' battery capacities were below the industry standard. Both of the devices had battery capacity that were lower than the standard for the industry. Despite the fact that the battery capacity of the iPhone X was lower than that of its predecessor, the ability of the device to be used for a continuous period of 12 hours was made possible by the efficient A11 Central Processing Unit, CPU, and iOS enhancements. In terms of whether or not they were compatible with wireless charging and rapid charging, the two devices were dissimilar from one another in this regard. When compared to the S8 Plus, which came with a fast charger already built into the smartphone, the iPhone X required a separate purchase in order to have the capability to charge quickly. But the S8 Plus came with a fast charger already built in. In terms of the software experience, the Galaxy S8 Plus was able to run on Android with Samsung's very own tailor-made skin, which was a big upgrade over previous versions of the operating system. There were a number of features that were included into the user interface, including Samsung Pay, Bixby, and Edge screen shortcuts. The user interface was extremely flexible and featured capabilities such as these. An iOS 11 operating system that was installed on the iPhone X offered consumers an experience that was more simplified and consistent than the previous versions of the operating system. The iPhone X was designed with a number of major goals in mind, two of which were effortless operation and seamless connection with Apple's ecosystem. The introduction of Face ID on the iPhone X was a game changer because it provided a safe and convenient method of unlocking the smartphone, as well as a means of making payments and accessing applications. There were further advantages, such as the capability to unlock the gadget. Despite the fact that these features were not as advanced as the solution that Apple had adopted, the Galaxy S8 Plus kept the traditional fingerprint sensor in addition to face recognition and iris scanning. This was the case despite the fact that Apple had installed the solution. Not only were the Galaxy S8 Plus and the iPhone X great gadgets, but they also pushed the limits of what was possible in terms of smartphone design and technology in 2017. There was a release of both of these devices in the year 2017. To summarize, the year 2017 was the year that both of these technological devices were made available to the public. A new age of iPhone design was ushered in with the introduction of the iPhone X, which featured an OLED display, Face ID, and a powerful A11 chip. However, the S8 Plus was a tremendous hit due to its magnificent display, software that could be tweaked, and camera that could easily be fitted to varied scenarios. These two qualities are somewhat responsible for the success of the gadgets, which can be attributed to them. A significant portion of the time, the choice between these two electronic devices was determined by the individual's own personal preferences. Android enthusiasts were more likely to indicate a preference for the S8 Plus, whilst iOS enthusiasts were more likely to indicate a preference for the iPhone X. When compared to other luxury cell phones currently available on the market, the two of these devices each offer a special experience that cannot be found anywhere else. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.